Welcome to the Three Championship Drive podcast on YouTube, hosted by me, Lance Caporossi. Follow me on X at Lance Caporossi, the same way you see it spelled on the screen. Do us a favor, hit the subscribe button, like the video, but more importantly, tell a Pistons fan. Summer League is complete. We got all four games in. The Pistons do play the Jazz Sunday at I believe 8:30. I don't know how far they're going to go into the Summer League championship, but I'm here for it. I hope they even go further because 4 games was just not enough of Ron Holland and Bobi Klintman. I love Summer League because it's the first look at incoming rookies, and it's always fun to talk about these guys after meaningless games. And I especially love to see fans across the NBA talk about who is a bust or who's a sleeper on these teams. I love the bust talk when it comes to it because, like, I used to get wrapped up into it, but now that I've matured and I'm a little older, I'm not calling anybody a bust until like year 3. Outside of Bobi Klintman and Ron Holland, I was impressed with Daniss, Jenkins, and Tulu Smith. Daniss Jenkins stood out with his all-out effort. And he has that ability to affect the game, even if he's struggling with his offense. Like, he had multiple blocked games. The defense against Reed Shepherd was pretty solid when they played against Houston. But Tulu Smith, this is the guy I was most impressed with outside of, again, Bobi Klintman, Ron Holland, Daniss Jenkins. Tulu Smith, he's a big body with some skill around the rim. Block shots in every single game except for the first one against the 76ers. I was just impressed with his all-around game. And I don't want to overreact too much. And I'm not going to say I don't see this guy on the 15-man roster. But Tulu Smith, I think at some point he'll get NBA minutes at some point. But who are you most impressed with during Summer League outside of the big names of Bobi Klintman and Ron Holland?
Well, I do want to talk about both. I kind of want to have just a little bit of my comments towards this. And I'm going to say this. Just be happy that we did get the 5th overall pick, because I'm not saying that it's going to continue, but we could have been stuck with Ausar that shot 0 for 17 in his second Summer League game and is having one of the worst Summer League games from a top 5 pick that I have seen in a very long time. So before we catch any hate with Ron Holland at number 5, I think we should be a little happy that he's performing the way that he's performing. I mean, putting up 17.3 points per game within the 3 games that he played, averaging a lot of minutes, which we knew he was going to do.
Yep.
He's playing fine for a number 5 pick right now compared to some of the other guys that were drafted ahead of him. So I'm cool with him. Bobi Klintman is really showing out. Bobi Klintman is showing why he could be a 8th man off the bench for this Detroit Pistons team. If he can continue to shoot the way that he is and defend the way that he is, he can sneak himself onto this team and steal some minutes from maybe Isaiah Stewart, my opinion. I like the way that this guy is playing. You talked about Daniss Jenkins. He has a motor in him, man. I would love to see Daniss Jenkins and Jaden Ivey in a lineup together, because those two play hard basketball. And I think those two could fit very, very well. And then you were talking about Tolu Smith. He did his job, man. He got rebounds. He was the big guy that we needed in the summer league to help work with the other big guy that we picked up with Bobi Klintman, and then someone to kind of support Ron Holland as he started to grow. So I liked the summer league so far. I don't know how far they go in the summer league tournament. I don't have high hopes for it. Yeah, it would be great to see them successful. And I think it'd be really good for Jarrett Jack as well to gain a lot of coaching experience, because he is on staff, and that's going to help mature these young players. But I agree with you. A lot of the guys that we watched, they kind of overextended what I thought they were going to do. I thought Ron Holland performed a little bit better, and I thought Bobi Klintman overly performed for his, what is it, 4 games that he played? His 4 games.
Yeah, he played all 4 games.
So I like these young guys, man. I think we did good. Anybody that's calling these guys a bust, I know I just roasted Alex Sarr, but Alex Sarr was the number 2 overall pick, should have been number 1 overall pick, highest prospect in this draft. I think with Ron Holland, I think we're sitting very safe. Like, we made a safe pick. We're getting what we knew we were going to get out of Ron Holland.
No, we did. I mean, in Ron Holland, I think the thing that I was most impressed with Ron Holland, dude, his conditioning. The dude never looked tired on the floor. And I think, what did he average? 26 minutes per game? Is that what you said?
29.
29 minutes per game. And again, it's summer league, but it's like, it's a glorified pickup game. It's
Yeah.
a lot of up and down, but he just did not tire. I
No.
love the motor on that guy, and he has elite conditioning. And I do think, man, if he just adds a little bit more muscle, he's going to be so feared around the rim, because there were a few, like we've talked about it before. There
Yeah.
was just a few plays around the rim where it's like if he had a little more strength, he would have finished it. Yeah, I mean, outside of really Ron Holland, Bobi Klintman, Daniss Jenkins, and really Tulu Smith, I know Marcus Sasser had a good final game before the playoffs started against the New York Knicks and took that final shot, which, I mean, whatever. He had I think he had 24 in that game.
Yeah.
But outside of those four guys, nobody really blew my mind from the summer league. I thought Aaron Estrada had a moment or two in the summer league where I was like, okay, this guy looks like a player out of Alabama, 6'3" guard. He can shoot it. You got to love lefties, the lefty snipers. But let's talk about two-way contracts. So in the NBA now, you can have 3 two-way contract players. Daniss Jenkins is already on one. I don't know if Thompson Iwoma is still on a two-way contract. He might be just until training camp starts. I'm not really sure what's going on with him. But when I looked on Spot Track, they said he was still on the roster. So I have to imagine it's under that two-way. But from the summer league, and look, there's going to be training camp. And when I think it's October 21st. Yeah, October 21st, you got to trim the rosters from 21 to 18 players. And of those 18, 3 of them are going to be two-way players. But before we're not talking about training camp, because there are going to be players that are signed to training camp deals and Exhibit 10 deals as well. But from the Summer League roster, who would you give those final two-way contract players to?
I think Daniss Jenkins stays on his two-way. I think we continue to keep giving him what he is, because he's playing well. Even if we were to not give this guy an opportunity, I think from what he has done this year, I think some other team might actually give him an opportunity to play. So that kind of scares me, because I like to have him as another guard within this organization. I like Tolu Smith as just another big man to have on this roster. I think he would fit out. I think he would fit fine. I mean, I don't know his size, but I know 6'11". Okay, so he was 10. He averaged 10 points in summer league with
10 rebounds, 1 block, 1 assist, 58% from the field.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind keeping him on the roster. I don't think that hurts anything. I think he's been playing pretty well. And then honestly, you mentioned Aaron Estrada. If we had to give another one out, I would go to Aaron Estrada. I thought he played pretty well. He had a little bit of fight in him. He can shoot the ball. He just didn't see it go in that well during summer league. But I think that's another guy that you could keep on this roster. But I'm just excited for these rookies, dude. They're playing pretty well, and I'm excited. I think the way they're distributing the minutes, I think they are showing who we need to watch, who we need to focus on with Ron Holland and Marcus Sasser, Daniss Jenkins, Bobi Klintman, and Tulu Smith. They're all getting over 22 minutes a game. So with a lot of these guys, it's hard to see because we're not really focusing a ton on Sam Peake or Devin Higgs or Will Baker. They're not getting a ton of minutes, so we can't really see a lot out of them. But I think from what we've already recognized with watching these summer league games, I think organization has already kind of figured out who they're going to keep around.
Yeah, and Sam Peake, he was on the Motor City Cruise last year. Same, I believe, with Jace Johnson. He was on the Motor City Cruise. Some of these other guys, I don't know the names, but if we're just talking from the Summer League roster, Daniss Jenkins is already on the two-way. I think Tulu Smith gets a two-way contract. And if I had to give another one out, I agree with you on Aaron Estrada. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well. I think only 33% from the three-point line.
Yeah.
But I mean, I thought he played with good effort. I mean, he didn't give up on too many plays. He was a guy that I definitely noticed. He only averaged 12 minutes per game. I think he would have gotten more if Marcus Sasser had kind of shown out. I mean, it's kind of unreal to see someone like Marcus Sasser, because he did have a good rookie season, to see him play all 4 summer league games in the minutes that he did. But I understand he was working on becoming more of a lead guard. So I totally understand it. But I think if he had shown out the first 2 games, they probably would have sat him down for the regular season. Aaron Estrada would have got a few more minutes. But those would be the other 2 guys, Tulu Smith and Aaron Estrada, who I would give a two-way contract. But again, training camp's coming up. There's going to be a few more guys signed to the roster during training camp. some other guys that are going to eventually play for the Motor City Crews that are going to be with the Pistons during training camp. So we have a few more guys that we could potentially get two-way contracts for the Detroit Pistons. I want to talk about Bobi Klintman, though. So this is something I've been thinking about for a while now. Bobi Klintman stole Summer League with his play. He impressed, and it seems like he's everywhere on the floor. He's a player that is very hard to ignore with his play, whether he's draining threes. I mean, there was an alley-oop thrown to Ron Holland. There was an alley-oop thrown to Tulu Smith when they're on a 2-on-1. Very impressed by Tulu Smith running the floor like that. But Bobi Klintman, he just showed an all-around game that could benefit the other guys on the main roster right now. Like, he has a skill set that is valuable. And I might be overreacting because of Summer League play, and that's fine. I think at this point we can overreact to his play. But I see Bobi Klintman stealing minutes from somebody this season because, again, hard to ignore. And I think if the Summer League is any indication, he'll make noise during training camp and preseason. I don't think this is it for Bobi Klintman. We're going to be talking about him during training camp and preseason, and I would be surprised if we didn't hear nothing but positive things coming from him. I am a huge fan. But do you see Bobi Klintman stealing minutes? Don't give me a name yet. I mean, I know you already said Isaiah Stewart at the beginning, but like, how do you see this shaking out for Bobi Klintman during the regular season?
If he can continue to shoot 40%, he takes minutes from it. Doesn't matter who's starting on this team. Because if he can shoot the ball well and he can space the floor well, and he's still rebounded quite well in summer league, I don't care who the name is. It doesn't matter to me. If this guy is shooting the lights out, he's gonna play. So I think right now, depending on how well he continues to play, even Sunday, I'm going to watch that game. If he continues to shoot the lights out, man, the sky's the limit for him in this roster. This is a team that is on the up and coming, trying to figure it out. Like, we are doing any means necessary, from a rebuild to figure out who we want on this roster. And he's going to be a really good piece to this team. Now, success, I don't know with how we do as a team, but I think he fits in and he could be in the rotation. And even with Bobi Klintman performing well, it gives us the opportunity to maybe make some trades. Because if Bobi Klintman is actually performing the way we wanted to, then that gives us a little bit of more flexibility to maybe move somebody to create more cap space or bring in some more veterans.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. So you're definitely reading my mind right now. We've done like 20 episodes together, so this was bound to happen, where we're just going to read each other's minds like this. But I see Bobi Klintman stealing minutes from Simone Fontecchio and Isaiah Stewart from that backup 4 spot. And I'm not saying he'll replace Isaiah Stewart. I think Isaiah Stewart has a role on the Pistons. And I'm not saying Bobi Klintman makes him expendable. But if Bobi Klintman gets minutes at that backup 4 spot, you can slide Isaiah Stewart to the backup 5 over Paul Reed. Or, maybe Bobi Klintman does show out where you're like, hey, we can trade Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah.
Because his play is just so good during his rookie year. Again, we might be overreacting due to Summer League. But if his play does continue, it opens the door for so many different scenarios. But I think Simone Fontecchio and Isaiah Stewart, those are guys that I think will get minutes at the backup 4 spot. I mean, before Paul Reed was here, I thought Simone Fontecchio would be the backup 4. But it is interesting that they only signed him to that 2-year deal. Now you're looking back at it, you're like, man, that's actually a really great deal. And it was kind of like almost foreshadowing, like, maybe Trajan Langdon was expecting one of these rookies to show out during summer league, where he's like, okay, now he's on a friendly contract where it's even easier to trade than signing him to something to like a 3 or 4 year deal worth more than what he's getting. So bravo to Trajan Langdon, not only for the Simone Fontecchio contract, but by finding Bobi Klintman in the second round. But who do you think gets off the bench and starts getting real rotation minutes between Bobi Klintman and Ron Holland? Now, even though Bobi Klintman has showed out in Summer League, I think Ron Holland is the guy that they're saying we're going to invest more in, and we're going to really try to get him ready for the regular season. But who do you think of those two gets the minutes?
I only think Ron Holland gets some minutes just because of the depth at the position. I think that's it. I think that Bobi Klintman, he's going to be probably competing with Tobias Harris. He's going to be competing with Isaiah Stewart. He's going to be competing with Fontecchio. I think I think Ron Holland sees the floor just because when he comes in as a two-way guy, like, because we want to be more defensive, like he can play a 2 and a 3 position. So I think it gives him more of an opportunity for him to get minutes. Now, when it comes to like making more of an impact with minutes, I think it's going to be Bobi Klintman, because I think Bobby's going to come in a position where they need scoring, and he's just going to let it fly like he has been doing in Summer League. Like he's understanding his role. So I think Ron Holland gets majority, but I think when it comes to like priority and how important the minutes are, I think Bobi Klintman takes up all of that.
See, I actually disagree with the whole what you said about Ron Holland. I think his path to getting regular NBA minutes is a little bit tougher than Bobi Klintman's, because he is competing with Ausar Thompson, Tim Hardaway, Malik Beasley, Jaden Ivey, Simone Fontecchio. Even though I've been saying Simone Fontecchio will get back up 4 minutes, but Simone Fontecchio is a 3. I just think it's much harder for him to get those minutes over so many guys, and I think it's a little easier for Bobi Klintman. But I mean, then again, who knows where they want to play Ausar? Maybe they want to play him at some 4 minutes this season too, because depending on the shooting and everything. I mean, there's a lot of different options. It's exciting to see all these different lineup configurations, like what kind of different lineups you can throw out on the floor. It is exciting, but I'm just disagreeing with you on Ron Holland's path to getting regular NBA minutes. I think it's a little bit tougher than Bobi Klintman's.
I think it depends how they want to manage a roster. Like if they want to run small ball, they want to have more shooters around Cade. Like it depends how they want to run the lineup. And with both of these guys playing as good as they are, it doesn't really matter. Like you can put them in wherever you need to plug in players to get garbage minutes in important parts of the game, like the end of the half or going into the fourth quarter and stuff like that. Like you have good enough guys, and now we're finally to a point with a roster that we can look at it and they could say, oh, Ron Holland's going to sub in instead of Ausar. And we're not mad about it. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, before we were, oh, Killian Hayes is coming in for Jaden Ivey. I'm going to actually turn off my TV and go get something to eat and then come back and hopefully Killian's not on the floor anymore. Like, we actually have a group of players that are going to hopefully be consistent, but they're going to play hard. Like, we're under a whole new genre of basketball for Detroit. Like, and I believe in JB Bickerstaff when he's talking about getting back to the roots of Detroit basketball. We're bringing in guys that want to play.
No, we are. And you threw me off with the Killian Hayes thing. I was like, dude, where is he going with this? Where is he going with Killian Hayes? Because
I couldn't watch him, man. I'd rather watch the Burger King commercial, the Whopper. Like I couldn't do it, man.
No, I thought like maybe you knew some news where like, hey, they're bringing it back. I'm like, wait a minute, I thought he was going to Brooklyn.
No, he's actually going to start picking apples. Actually,
with Darko Milicic, yeah,
he's going to work part time. I heard so.
Well, he's still young.
He's going to practice shooting them into the bucket. It could be possible, dude. You know, every career starts somewhere. It could be picking apples, or it doesn't matter, man. Yeah, Killian. I hate Killian Hayes. All right, continue.
Yeah, I was just thinking this, like, and I want to ask you this about Ron Holland because we're talking about a little bit about him and Ausar Thompson here. Could you see Ron Holland supplanting Ausar Thompson and making Ausar Thompson expendable, or do you think that Trajan Langdon, obviously he's trying to build around Cade, but do you think that his idea for roster construction is to have Ron Holland and Ausar Thompson be those two-way wings at either the 2 or the 3 or the 3 and the 4 to mesh with Cade Cunningham? Or do you think maybe he drafted Ron Holland to replace Ausar Thompson? And I know I'm throwing a lot of questions out at you, but I just want to hear
No, I got you, because I've actually thought about this too a little bit, because overall, like as a Pistons roster as a whole, and what we've been going through within the last month and a half of transition of new management, new coaching, and everything, I think that Trajan is keeping all these young guys because this is the year that they need to show that they are worth their contract. Like he's getting people in position like Ron Holland to maybe take over Ausar's spot, because this is the year that Jaden Ivey needs to perform. This is the year that Ausar Thompson needs to perform. This is the year that Jalen Duren needs to perform. Like, we are putting a lot of eggs in this basket of just all rookies. Like, these are all young guys. I'm still going to call them rookies. I don't care. They've been in the league 2 years. They play like rookies still. So I don't think anybody's expendable yet, but going through the season and maybe getting to the trade deadline, we could be seeing something different. But I think Trajan is really valuing putting a lot of time and effort into these young guys because he wants to see them succeed. So I think this is kind of a trial year with all these guys on this roster. And there's nothing wrong with that because I'm cool. Like if someone's playing better than someone else, you want to move on with them, then we move on with them. It's not that big of a deal. But I'm happy that we are setting ourselves up for a position where it is okay if we move on from another player because we already have someone behind him ready to go.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember everything you just said, and I like the part about, like, having young guys evaluating this team. I'm glad he brought the veterans in so you could truly try to evaluate all these young guys. But I think you're touching on the right point right there where it's nice to have young guys that, one, are gonna be competing with each other, and eventually, maybe down the line where let's just say Ron Holland really shows out his rookie year, and you see Ausar Thompson where even though you know how much I love Ausar Thompson, I believe in this guy.
Ausar.
I gotta throw this, I gotta throw that in there, that disclaimer. But maybe there's a world where Ausar he doesn't really improve his second year, but you see Ron Holland where you're like, yes, we got the guy. He can replace Ausar Thompson. Now we can flip Ausar Thompson. I totally agree with that. I totally agree with what you're saying about having all these young guys and seeing what you have, seeing if you can kind of bump that value up and getting some other players to really push this team over the top. So Ron Holland, he had a solid summer league. We've already shared the numbers with you guys. Average 29 minutes per game or average around 17 points per game. But some fans have really soured on the kid, which is unfair because, again, he was playing without a true playmaking point guard. He was in a situation where he was asked to do too much, and it showed. Like, he was asked to create his own shot, create offense for others. And it's nice to see that from Ron Holland, but I really want to see him play with a true playmaking point guard like a Cade Cunningham. Now, the majority of Pistons fans are excited to watch him play. He showed flashes of being a spectacular two-way player in the NBA. So how excited are you to watch Ron Holland this season? Because when I see those flashes and I see what he could do individually as a defensive player, what he could potentially do as an offensive player, I just cannot wait for the regular season to start. But what about you? How excited are you to watch this kid?
I'm ready to watch him live life above the rim. That's what I'm ready to watch. I want him to be angry every single time he goes to the basket. Like, I think that is going to be who he is on this team. Like, he's going to be the full send guy. Like, I want to see him succeed in transition. I want to see him get to the basket. Like, I want to see that happen. I don't want to see this guy shooting threes. It's not what he's going to do. When we saw him like succeed in summer league, he was getting at the rim as much as he possibly could. So I'm excited to watch him play, but I mean, we sit and talk about it left and right about how many minutes or if he's going to get minutes. I don't know what they're going to do with this roster. It's going to be a lot of fun to see how we transition, or it's going to be putrid and we're going to hate every single second of it like we did last year. We just don't know. So, but with what I've already said, and then what you just said about Pistons fans not liking him, like I understand that, and whether I take this on the chin or not, I'm going back to say again, Alex Sarr is averaging 5.5 points per game in 4 games of summer league, and he averages 30 minutes a game. He's played all 4 games of summer league. He is shooting 19% from the field. And he's only grabbing 8 boards a game, guys. Like, let's sit and look. If we want to talk about success, I'm not saying either guy is going to be the next LeBron James or the next Victor Wembanyama, or they're both going to be busts. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying right now is that we have a guy that is performing. We have a guy that is playing well at a 5th overall pick, because we literally could have been the Alexander Sarr pick. We could have been. And you think it's bad now? Man, dude, Pistons fans would be losing it if we had a number 2 overall guy performing the way that he is. So I think we just take it with a grain of salt that Ron Holland is performing better than what I expected. And I'm excited to see him in a Pistons uniform in that 00 and see him compete for a starting job.
Dude, it's so funny that you bring that up because I was just looking at some of the tweets and I thought about reading some of them on here, but I'm not trying to. I don't want to read them. I don't want to have too much negativity because I did until you brought up Alex Sarr again, and you are 100% right. Like, watching Ron Holland perform during summer league, it's fair to be critical of his game. Like we both said, there are things he needs to work on. We want to see more consistent shooting. The jump shot's not broken. He just needs to be in the gym and get reps. Attacking the rim. He shows like he has no fear going to the rim and trying to go over or through someone. He's just going to keep doing it. Some guys, dude, they get thrown to the ground like that. They get their shots stuffed at the rim. They don't want to attack anymore.
Yeah.
They just said, nope, it's all good. I'm good on that. I'll change my game. You are so right. Like, because if I had Alex, if there was Alex Sarr on this roster and he was performing that way, I would have so much doubt right now.
We'd be in shambles right now.
We would
be. We really would be, and we wouldn't know what to do. We're saying we're going to be another 14-win team. Like, I get that we want to expect so much out of these players. Like, we really do. We want them to be successful. We want them to perform the way that they're supposed to be drafted. But I'm telling you, it could be worse right now. Like, this show is going to be 35 minutes. If we had Alex Sarr, we would be talking for 2 hours. And why the hell did we do this? So I think get off Ron Holland's back. Like, I don't know if he reads social media. I don't know if he watches our podcast. But, dude, like, I'm here to defend you, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you're good. We're all good. Everything is fine. Play the way that you're playing. You are averaging 17 points per game in Summer League. You're shooting fine. 37%. I'll take it, dude. Like, I'll take it. No one here that cares about this team as much as we do is going to attack you for anything that you're doing right now in Summer League because you're doing perfectly fine. And the fans that are ripping this kid have so high expectations, like we're going to win a championship next year. Did you not watch Trajan's press conference? We're not worried about that. We're not. And real fans understand that. We get it. We know what it's like to go through a rebuild. Hell, we've been doing it for 10 years. So it's just leave him alone. The kid's playing fine. There's no reason to attack him or ask for this dude to score 40 points a game. It's not going to happen. But with what we have got on our roster and how well him and Bobi have both performed so far, you can't ask for anything better.
No, and I mean, again, this might be an overreaction, but we were gifted 2 really good players in this draft.
Yes.
3 if you want to count Daniss Jenkins, which we should because he had a good summer league as well. But again, you're right. Like, it could be so much worse. We could have so much doubt about this. And like,
yeah.
I like that you said that we're going to defend Ron Holland, but I want to make this very quick too. We will be critical. Like, I mean, we have to be critical on. Yes. I don't want to be like a cookie cutter Pistons fans where it's like we come to listen to Lance and Zach because they just tell me what I want to hear. I don't want to be that. Like, I want to be critical of players because I just want them to perform well. I want all these guys to be great. And for the first time, really since Cade Cunningham was drafted, I feel like the team is going in the right direction, and they have some good young players where the basketball's in the right hands again in Detroit. That's what it feels like. Yeah, and I'm excited about Sunday because I want to see these guys compete, man. Yep. Like, yeah, it's Summer League. Yeah, it's Summer League. Who cares? Well, who cares about the bubble? Who cares? Like, you want to talk about things we don't care about? Let's see these guys perform when it really matters. Like, you want to see these guys win a Summer League championship? Then let's do it. We have the guys to do it. Like Marcus Sasser, if he comes into his own and starts playing well. Ron Holland's been consistent. Bobi Klintman's shooting out of the gym right now. And it's not even the best part about watching Bobi is even you understand as much as I do. And anybody that hasn't watched it, go watch the guy. Half his shots are contested, bro, and they're still going in. Like, this guy is shooting with almost like your 2K 80% contest rate. Like, and he is still making them. Like, the guy is shooting great. So with this Summer League, I want to see these guys take this seriously. And I think Jack can get it out of him. And I'm just so excited to see these guys compete because they're all competing for a roster spot right now. And it would be fun to end Summer League with like hosting that trophy up. That would be really cool. And it would shut a lot of fans up going into like the dead period of the offseason before training camp and before we get some highlights from pickup games and everything like that, which we'll for sure talk about when the Rico runs and everything. That would be great. But I would love to see this just continue. I want to see them play more and more games in Summer League. I'm not ready for this to end just yet. Summer League's not a joke though. Like, these are all guys on every single team competing for contracts. Yeah, and that's every single one of them. And it means everything to them. I mean, Summer League, you can kind of compare it to in-season tournament. Like, these guys are playing for money. Like, they're playing to support families. Like, they're playing. It means something to these guys. So I think
Summer League shouldn't be a joke. Like you saying, "Oh, Detroit won the Summer League, but they'll never win a championship." Who gives a shit? We still won it. Like it doesn't matter. Like we're watching these guys perform. So if you guys haven't seen one of these guys, like any of these Summer League games, I recommend watching on Sunday and check these guys out because they are playing very well.
And if you want to experience some wins, which we didn't experience many during the regular season, you have a chance to experience a few during Summer League. So we just have one final topic. This is revolving around Daniss Jenkins. We've talked about him a ton. We both love this kid out of St. John's. He's a fun point guard. When the shot's not falling, still plays with that motor, still plays with that effort, gets after it defensively. Do you see this guy making the Pistons final roster? Or if you don't like, because he is on the two-way, maybe he doesn't make the final roster. But do you see at any point during the season him supplanting Marcus Sasser on this roster?
Man, that's a tough question, dude. That's such
a little
tough
negative
question
too, I get
because we want Marcus Sasser to be good, man.
We do.
We want him to be successful. Like we all love Marcus Sasser, but Daniss, Leroy, Jenkins, like oh my god, like this guy is playing so. His middle name's not Leroy. He's playing so well, and I think someone even said in the YouTube comments, right, to check this guy out before Summer League started. I don't know who you are, but shout out to you because you know what you're talking about. This guy is playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's shooting the lights out. I think the third game, it was game 3 of the preseason. He's like, was it 26 points? Like 6 of 10 or something from 3.
I think it was the second game. Yeah, I think it was the second game.
And he just lit it up, man. This guy's playing well. Now, we want to see success on both sides for Jenkins and Sasser. But if you're looking for a better fit with a guy that knows how to run the point, Daniss Jenkins is where we're looking right now. Like Sasser, I said it before and I'll say it again. This Summer League is important to him. He needs to compete. He needs to show that he can control tempo. He needs to show that he can line people up. He needs to show that he is clutch as a point guard, which would have been so great if he would have made that last shot the last game they played at the buzzer. But I think Daniss Jenkins has every opportunity to be on this roster.
Yeah, he had 26 points against the Houston Rockets, and
yeah,
he did play good defense against Reed Sheppard on a few plays. I think he blocked his shot. I think he stuffed him off the backboard, and I think he blocked one of his jump shots, if memory serves me right. Let me see this real quick. Yeah, he had 2 blocks in the game, and I know he for sure recovered from behind on Reed Sheppard and stuffed him at the rim. He's made a few of those plays where I'm like, dude, what is this guy? I think he's only like 6'3", but
yeah,
the vertical is just, and the athleticism is just crazy. It's off the charts. I love Daniss Jenkins. I'm not rooting against Marcus Sasser. I want to make that very clear because I know I've been called an Ivy hater plenty of times. I don't want to start being called a Marcus Sasser hater. It's just there's new blood on the roster. I'm having a lot of fun with this as well, you know?
Yeah, everyone's starting to click the way we want them to, and I think it's really important to continue to see it. But Daniss Jenkins, man, he's playing himself into a role that I think that everyone should be excited to watch.
Oh, yeah, and I think it was Mr. Rip City on YouTube that told us to watch him, and you were right, man. You were right.
Yeah, dude, you crushed it. Like, and even so, he was part of the reason the last game that we even got to a Marcus Sasser buzzer beater. Like, yes. we were down 20-something points, like nearing the end of the third, and then we ended up coming back and had it within 2. You know, so I think that Daniss Jenkins, the only thing he has right now to stop him from making a roster spot or keeping his two-way is himself.
100%. I was just about to say that. The only thing that stops Daniss Jenkins is he gets comfortable and he just stops playing with effort. Like, if he already thinks he made it. But I don't think we'll see that from him.
No.
I really think he's the Jose Alvarado of the Detroit Pistons.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
I love Jose, man. I love Jose.
I know you do.
So Jalen Duren spoke to Vince Goodwill. I don't know if this was part of – I don't know if the interview was part of the Detroit Players podcast or it was mentioned on the Detroit Players podcast. But anyways, Jalen Duren spoke to Vince Goodwill out in Las Vegas during Summer League. And Jalen Duren admitted that his bad defense this past season wasn't because of an injury, wasn't because of his ankle, wasn't because of his health, but because he didn't play with effort on that side of the ball.
What are you saying, man, dude? What is this?
It annoys me a ton because I watched Andre Drummond. I believed in Andre Drummond in Detroit. And both of these guys have all of the physical tools and the athleticism to be great. But what has stopped both of them at this point in their careers from reaching those heights as a great player has been the lack of effort on the defensive side. And I get it. The Pistons weren't playing for anything last year. It was the worst season in team history. But when you've been pegged as a player that is a part of this team's future and viewed as a building block, you have to separate yourself. That's what Jalen Duren has to do. The 2020 games are cool. They are fun to watch. I've seen plenty of them with Andre Drummond. But Jalen Duren has a chance to bring Detroit back at the forefront of the NBA and become one of the premier teams. And that doesn't happen because of 2020 games. It happens because he mans up and plays with effort on the defensive side. He shows out on that side. I don't want to hear that you have the ability and you can actually be that defensive anchor on this team that this team needs, but you don't want to do it because you don't want to play with effort on that side. And I know he can play with effort, and I know he can be a standout player because I see him do it on the offensive end. When he has the ball in his hands and when he has a chance to score at the rim and throw it down on someone, he's the best player on the floor. But when that's not happening for him, he lets people blow by him, and he looks like a rookie. I want to see more from Jalen Duren, and I mean, cool of him to like man up and I guess speak about it. But dude, shame on you for not playing with effort on the defensive end. But again, I get it. The team was bad. But if you want to be one of these max players, you want to be one of the franchise guys, you want to be one of those guys that we talk about 15, 20 years from now. It's like, man, remember Jalen Duren's career in Detroit? You need to step up on that defensive side. You got some big shoes to fill after coming after the Wallaces, where they built that team up through defense and won championships. You have an opportunity to do that. Just play with effort on that side. I know I went on a long-winded rant, but man, that I had bottled that up all week.
You think that's long, Lance? Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do you one better here. Jalen Duren, please, for the love of God, take a listen to this podcast. And I'm going to bring out my inner coach. Yeah, I'm 30 years old. Yeah, I'll never coach you ever. 1 second of my life. I don't care. But maybe you can listen to something. Man, dude, admitting that as someone that has coached before, and I coached kids in 7th and 8th grade. Hearing something like that really pisses me off, dude. What are you doing? I don't care, Lance. I understand what you're saying. You're giving him the benefit of the doubt. I am not. You are a professional athlete. You go out there, you get paid to do what you're doing. What you do is a job. It is a job. I don't go to work and I don't half-ass my effort all the time. I don't do that. That's not what we do. You want to come out here and you want to be a great basketball team? Maybe part of the 14 reasons is because you didn't want to give enough effort for this team. You got guys out there battling injuries. You got Cade playing on half a knee, and you want to say that you're not trying? Oh, I can do better. I just didn't care. Wow, that's some bullshit attitude. And I really hope that I don't know how high the credentials are on this interview, but I really hope it's not fucking true. Because that is just some grade level bullshit that nobody wants to hear, man. Even when Lance sent it to me and we were going to talk about it, it really irked me. Because we're not going to sit and we're going to say we're going to give up. I only did it because my coach sucked and I didn't want to. Dude, who cares? It doesn't matter. You are the starting 5 for this team. You are a building block, and you are potentially could be an all-star. And you're telling us that you're not giving us 100% effort? Man, that's pretty bullshit. And that when it comes to someone that's a diehard Piston fan, unfortunately, I didn't go and spend my hard-earned money to go watch your games. I did not. I stayed at home and I watched them at home. But from somebody knowing people that go to games like that and then hearing say that you don't care, then why should we care? Why should we support you? Why do we want you to be successful? Everybody's behind you. Yeah, we have been ragging on your defense the last month and a half, but holy shit, we were right.
Yep.
We were all right that you didn't care and you don't care. Man, dude, if I'm sitting and I'm Trajan Langdon and I find out that's true and I know about this interview, I'm sitting him down one-on-one and we're going to have a conversation. This is not how we're going to represent Detroit Pistons. Jesus, Lance, could you imagine that happened back in 03 and 04? Just saying, I didn't give any effort. That doesn't work like that, man. So
it doesn't
for
work
me,
in a city of Detroit like that.
So from me to Jalen Duren, buddy, we believe in you. We truly do. Everybody wants you to be a stud because you are one. But Jesus Christ, if that was your C+ effort on defense, last year, I'd have no idea what an A+ is going to look like then. So you gotta give us something, man. Like, I don't like to hate. I don't like to be negative. I don't like to do that. But coming out and saying that you didn't care enough to try, that really hurts, dude. That's unfortunate.
No, and you made a good point. Like, people are paying hard-earned money to come and watch you play. And, like, again, the 2020 games, a lot of fans are just going to love that. But we've been talking about for months, like, we would trade this guy because defensively it doesn't seem like he's getting it. But he's admitting, don't worry, I can actually play on that side of the ball, but I just didn't care. That makes it even worse for me. That really upsets me as a fan, where I'm like, you could have done it. You could have done it, even, but you didn't want to?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now? And you played with all this effort on the offensive end, but you didn't care about the defensive side of things? That D in Detroit stands for defense, dude. That's what that means. When you wear that jersey, when it's on your chest, dude, you better bring it on both sides on the floor. That's what fans want to see. That's what we want, dude. This is a hardworking city, a hardworking state. We want to see you work hard on both ends. We don't want to hear this crap about. That's the quickest way for fans to turn on you in Detroit, is to say you didn't play with effort. And I hope more and more fans hear that interview. I hope they hear that, and I hope it comes out even more throughout the week, and people are like, wow, you know what I'm saying? I want to see more fans' reaction, not just us. I want to hear what people have to say about Jalen Duren, saying he played without effort on that side of the ball and he didn't give it his all during that season. We witnessed a 28-game losing streak because – and now you're gonna. Who else wasn't playing with effort on this team? Who else didn't care?
Yeah,
man, I'd be fine with shipping them all out except for Cade Cunningham and Ausar Thompson. And Ron Holland and Bobi Klintman. But I'm talking about from last year's roster. Get rid of everybody but a few guys. The guys that it looked like that they cared, they wanted to be out there, that they were proud to wear that jersey. Dude, give them the money, build the team around those guys, and ship everybody else out.
Yeah, and it sucks, though, because we've been talking about this for months, man. Like, we're talking about maybe it's the intangibles. Maybe he wasn't coached good enough. Maybe he needed to be in the better position. Dude, Lance, we were behind him for months. We were behind this guy, and now he doesn't give a shit. Well, Jalen, how about you watch us not give a shit? And how about you watch people not support you? Because, unfortunately, you get paid a lot more than we do. Like, we don't even get paid. Like, we want to see you guys success. Like, be very successful. We want to see you guys win games. But, man, it sucks to hear the truth like that. And I hope to God it was just you that said something like that.
And the other thing that bothers me now that I'm thinking about it is I hate that he thinks it's just a switch you can flip.
Yeah.
Like, oh, dude, I'm going to be good on defense next year. Don't worry, guys. Dude, if you're not playing with effort right now and you're not carrying on that side, it's hard to start carrying.
Yeah.
Like someone like Ausar Thompson, just for example, during his rookie year, dude, he played good defense. He went all out there. He went out there and tried to make a statement defensively. If you go back to watch that preseason against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, holy crap, that was a masterclass of how to shut down one of the top 5 players in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that dude was a rookie, and you guys weren't playing for nothing, and he went out there every single night and tried to perform to the best of his abilities. And that's what we got from Ausar Thompson. Being Ausar Thompson, being Isaiah Stewart, be a Cade Cunningham, be a Jaden Ivey who goes out there every single night. I'm this close to never saying a negative thing about Jaden Ivey because he plays with just heart and effort every single night. Like he wants to be in Detroit forever.
Yeah.
But Jalen Duren, man, I hope you flip that switch and I hope it stays on.
Man, and from somebody that played a lot of high school basketball, played a little bit of college basketball, I was a 5. When I played, I'd started my 2 years, my junior and senior year. Yeah, I was not the offensive guy. I was not asked to do that. But you can ask every single teammate that I had when it came to defense, that was my job. At the 5, that was my job. You need to be a leader. You are the quarterback of the defensive side of the ball at the 5. That is your job. You're the last person in line to protect the rim. That is your job. And you're telling me that you're not doing your job. That's rough, man. Like, that's rough. You need to take that. It needs to be taken seriously. It needs to be taken seriously. And we can't even, from an organization point of view, we can't have that. We can't do this. That's not going to happen anymore. So go ahead, Lance.
I was just going to say before we end it, like, even though he's one of the younger players on the team, you are a leader on this team, and people are going to follow suit. You know what I'm saying? Like you're entering your third year in the NBA. You have to show and be the example for these young guys coming up. Like just say, like, this is how we do it in Detroit. We give all out effort because if you're not going to do it, dude, just get rid of him now. I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah,
Just get rid of the guy now.
he's the pillar, man. He's the last line of defense. He's the man that sees the whole thing. And we can't, if we're gonna have somebody there that doesn't want to be there, then I'm better with Beef Stew starting at 5. I'm better with Reed starting at 5. I don't care. We're just not gonna do this. And and what sucks the most is that him saying that, yeah, you came out and said it. It's already done. It's already been out. Everyone knows about it that wants to know about it. Whoever listens to this now knows about it. But the worst part about it is now when you go and you don't perform well, is it because of your effort or is it because you're not good at the game? We don't know now. So there's going to be a lot of eyes, and especially from people that take this so serious, like Lance and I, like we're going to be looking at a lot of different things now. Did Jalen not get back because he doesn't give a shit? Or is he tired? Does he want to be here? You got to come up with something. There has to be something that you need to prove. And even I saw clips of him at Team USA practice. He looked like shit. So if that effort's happening there too, dude, then what are we doing here? Then what are we doing? Because it's not going to be with you. So it's you gotta nut up and shape up, man. Because right now, it's not going to fly.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think we've said enough about it. Like that, I mean, that was a good, probably like 10 minutes. We just went in on.
But it's
Jalen
irritating,
Duren.
man.
No,
as someone that loves the
agree.
sport, like it sucks because you look at these guys and you want them to be good, man. Like if I could go and play, I would. Like I want them to try. I want them to be good. We suck. We knew we sucked. But now to say that you sucked and you didn't care, Jesus Christ. It's the icing on the cake.
No, and it makes it unfair for guys like an Isaiah Stewart who play the same position but are
Correct.
limited in what they can do on the floor because they don't have all the athleticism in the world. They weren't born with those gifts like a Jalen Duren, who, you know, probably since birth pretty much looked like he was just going to be a stud athlete. And Isaiah Stewart that just works hard and fights every game to get every ounce of his ability to become a, you know, not even a marquee name, but just a name that you remember. A guy that has to fight every single year, just get minutes on the floor. Like from season to season, that guy has to fight and earn everything. Jalen Duren, because of his athleticism, because of how he looks, it's just like, dude, that body that he has, like, it's just, dude, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt every single time over someone like Isaiah Stewart. And it's just, it kind of sucks to hear him say it.
I just hope with the new coaching staff and new management that maybe we don't see that from him. We all want him to be good. We don't want to just talk bad on him all the time. Like we want this team to be successful, but now it's just adding so much to last season's poison that we all drank for a whole season that it just makes it feel even worse than what it already was.
It does. But thank you guys for listening to the 3 Championship Drive podcast. Do us a favor, go to Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts and hit the follow button. After you hit the follow button, rate with 5 stars and tell us your thoughts on Jalen Duren playing without effort. But more importantly, tell a Pistons fan